All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Hearthmind Conqueror series number 3. Tonight we're going to be bringing you first the third and fourth place match, which is going to be between Void and MVParker. I'm joined tonight here casting by Bullock, Askier Watson, and also Alex DeBoss of Team Hearthmind. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
Oh, I'm doing great. I really enjoyed that we got to see a lot of games tonight. We actually got to watch them on Twitch.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time, getting to sit in the lobby, talk to all the players and the viewers, and, get to join in the experience of watching all the games with them. I definitely had a good time doing it as well. So tonight we're going to have from Void, he's bringing a Paladin, Hunter, and Druid, and MVParker is going to also have Paladin and Druid with Rogue as his third class. And for those of you that aren't familiar, we are running the Conquest format in our tournament for the semifinals on now, which is a best of 5 where the winner must switch decks. So essentially, to win the series, a player has to win with all 3 of the decks that they brought. So I personally enjoy the format because you get to see the variety of decks that the players brought. It's not as though you just see one deck sweep the whole series. So I think it's a cool thing.
And it also doesn't allow players to be good with one particular format and doesn't allow them to counter as effectively, which means we're not seeing the same matchups over and over and over. We get to see a widespread area of matchups.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You don't see quite the polarized matchups that you used to see when it was the always the last hero standing format. Here, it seems like the decks have to be a little more versatile and able to handle more than just one specific purpose, where it's like you have one deck that's kind of neutral in its matchups and then a couple counter picks for what you're expecting to encounter. So all in all, I think it makes it a more enjoyable experience to watch the games. Have you spoke
I
to the...
enjoy casting it more when it's in Conquest format.
Yeah, it took a little while to get used to. I mean, in terms of just being able to follow the matches. But once
Especially
you go ahead, Alex, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
especially for me, I had trouble figuring it out.
Yeah, I think we all did at first, but once you get used to it, it gets a little bit easier to follow. Were you able to speak to the guys? Are they ready to go, Bullock?
Yes, they're starting up the games right now. What do you
Awesome.
guys think that they're going to lead with?
Hmm.
Um,
It's really hard to say
uh,
because I don't think it really plays as big of a role what you lead in with in this format compared to the last hero standing.
I think Void is gonna lead Druid.
They both brought Druid. It's interesting to see that Void has 1.5 combo, meaning he has one Force of Nature but 2 Savage Roars. And MVParker brought a 2 combo Druid, has 2 full combos. So if it is a mirror match, we'll get to see how that plays out.
Okay, and it's actually going to be Void's Hunter first against the Druid of MVParker.
Void's Hunter is a typical face hunter that we see on the ladder quite a bit. And the Druid is a double combo, which we also see quite a bit on the ladder. They're both very popular decks. They both have golden heroes.
Yeah, Golden Heroes anymore though I think are becoming a little more common than they were like a few months ago. Where not to say that it's not an accomplishment to have a Golden Hero by any means, but
Yes, it's a lot more common. Most of the players that spend a lot of time on the game actually have multiple golden heroes by now.
yeah. So I'm looking at the starting hands here, and I have to say MV Parker's hand looks a little bit rough. Like though he has the wild growth, but I mean after that he really doesn't have much. He's got 2 innervates and 2 ancient of lores that he's sitting on.
Well, but that means that next turn he'll get to play him.
Yeah, I would say that the Druid's hand is on the above average side. Because he has Ancient of Lore on turn 4, which is basically turn 3. And then he can have a Druid of the Claw or an Ancient of Lore the next turn.
And that
Which is-
Druid of the Claw was a very good pickup because he can taunt it now, and then next turn play a 7-drop.
4/7 drop now.
I do like to taunt now though because it has 4 attacks, so it's something that is going to deal with Leok, and he has to deal with that Leok soon. And also it prevents face damage.
Yeah, you can't take too much damage. You want to draw off of Ancient of Lore.
Yeah, so now Void here. I think the Wolf Rider is, because he's. I'm trying to judge out his plays that he would have other than the Wolf Rider.
Glaive Zuka, if it rolls onto the Mad Scientist, is the best play. But it's a 50-50 that's really... It's really bad if you miss it.
If you miss it, you're kind of forced to trade your board into that one taunt, which is terrible.
So he could take a 50-50 to gain board control, which would be highly risky, but he might think that he has to.
And it's not
Or-
much of a board
Safe.
control anyways. He's only running explosive traps. He has 2 copies of those. So he knows that the scientist is going to give him that.
Yeah, and against.
Over the Glaive Zuka 50-50, and he chooses the more consistent Wolf Rider play.
Which I agree with. I mean, this is the match that's his final match of the day of the game. He really wants to play this as good as possible and not let RNG decide.
So is this Ancient of Lore going to be for heal or for cards?
I would say definitely for cards at this point, considering he has the second one as well.
He has the second one. He's at turn 5 and sitting at 25 health, which is not bad against the face hunter. And although he has a next turn, he really didn't have a turn after that, so he really needed that card draw.
Kill command on a 5/5 is pretty good, but at the same time, I think it's something the hunter doesn't want to do.
It wasn't preferred. He would like to go face with that, but you have to get rid of that 5/5, and then this leaves him with board control. He's not sure at this point what type of Druid MVParker has. He doesn't run Ancient of Wars. If he did, then that play, was more interesting.
Right, so here it looks like the Glaive Zuka is probably going to come down.
With Knife Juggler,
Yeah,
most
with
likely.
Knife Juggler to trade the spiders in to get the knives.
Can't get away from that RNG.
Well, I mean, a little bit of RNG I don't think is a bad thing necessarily. I mean, especially like something like Knife Juggler, you know what you're getting out of it, it's just a matter of where it lands.
It's kind of huge though, because damage to the face doesn't count as much as damage to minions.
And he got what he needed here.
Yep.
Of course, that swipe is going to clean up, but
He didn't even have to play the web spinner. He could get the hero power value.
Yeah, which is really, I think, for a face hunter, it's very important to try to squeeze in the hero power as often as you can, because as you your cards essentially lose value as you get into the higher turns because you play such a low curve that your opponent's just going to be outvaluing you in terms of the cards that they're playing. So
that's one thing. And another thing is, you're going to run out of cards because your cards cost so little that at higher turns you play multiple cards at a turn. That hero power lets you keep some of the cards in hand and play them later.
yeah, and it speeds up the game as well, and you can also look at it too in the sense of that it's a resource that you can use but never comes back.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, like each turn you have the option to use it, but if you don't use it that turn, it's gone.
It's not cost effective, but it's free.
Yeah, it's...
Well, it fits what you're trying to do so well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's 2 damage to the face and a face hunter. You know, you can't ask for much better than that.
Yep.
That is a pretty good beast. Not exactly what he's looking for right now, but
Yeah,
not too bad.
at least it contests the board a little bit.
Yeah, forces a trade with Azure Drake, which slows down the druid's goal of killing the hunter before it dies. Oh, that's lethal. Okay, well that ended abruptly. That is definitely lethal.
Well, gotta love the top deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the hunter was lucky equally as much as the druid was.
Yeah,
With
that.
Upper.
I think it was fairly like evenly matched game. Not like RNG really played a huge role in it on either side. I mean, outside of the normal, you know, RNG that we see in Hearthstone being a card game. Oh, and the spectator mode's stuck.
Great.
Yeah, great. Let's see.
So, MVParker's Druid is out. So, MVParker has an Oil Rogue and a very interesting Pally, a Pally that has Giants in it, 2 Molten Giants. Void has everything that we said before, which is a Face Hunter, a Druid with 1.5 combo, and a Control Pally. What do you guys think he's going to bring?
That's hard to say.
Alright, now
Paladin, right?
I'm jumping back in here, so I should be able to see in just a moment.
Paladin makes the most sense to me.
Let the hunt begin. I will fight with honor.
Unfortunately, I got the glitch as well, so I'll have to restart my spectator.
Alright, so it's going to be MVParker's Paladin against Void's Hunter right now.
Which MVParker told me before that this Paladin is made specifically to beat to beat Face Hunter. So he see how he does it against it.
Oh, so this is that Paladin. Okay.
His curve is very high. The 6-drop, 5-drop, and 8-drop are not what you want to have in your opening hand. Now, I'm going to check the deck list because that Priestess looks really odd in this deck. I haven't seen it before.
Yeah. It's interesting. Buffing a Leper Gnome is pretty huge because the difference between 2 health and 1 health is really big. So it makes sense, but I think more famously, the Worgen Infiltrator has been put in that card slot.
I think it does a better job, honestly, in what you're trying to do. It pretty much guarantees the 2 damage that you're trying to press. Whereas this really doesn't. And it doesn't really...
That's in this situation.
Well, yes, in this situation, but it's not a guarantee.
Lots of damage that the Hunter can push through while keeping board control. So definitely a great start.
Okay, so we finally got the stream back online here.
Get in there, fight, maggot.
Didn't get the juggle, so the abusive sergeant is going to die as a result. And True Silver can come down to take care of the knife juggler.
Yeah, MVParker's health is kind of getting dangerously low at this point. Because, I mean, he is still 4 turns away from that lay on hands. And, I mean, the Belcher will slow down Void a little bit, but...
Unless he gets an owl.
Yeah, like an owl or kill command.
Owl or kill command on curve, yeah.
Yeah, and something like that can break through it to where he may not even have time to make it to that lay on hands.
Well, you just have to hope.
Yeah, you just have to put your faith in the light, as Tyrion loves to say.
Nah, turn 8 is gonna be lay on hand. Sorry, Tyrion. You're gonna
Yeah,
have to.
he's gonna have to wait. You know, he can sit there and stare at his nice shiny Ashbringer for a little bit longer. Void really looks like he's taking his time thinking out this turn here. Or did my spectator mode get stuck again?
It got stuck again because MVParker has already played Belcher on my end.
Oh, jeez. I don't know why it's having these issues right now. Like the
If
third.
anything interesting happens, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I think he drew Mad Scientist,
I'm gonna
so
try
not the best draw.
to exit my game again and reopen it. Yeah, the stream worked great all night, and it decides during the finals that now it wants to lock up. So
Makes total sense.
oh, and the tables are full as well on the servers. So this is great. So
Well, we'll try to bring you as much audio as we can.
yeah,
So, with a Paladin at 10 health, having a 3-2 Belcher and a Sylvanas on board, facing a 25 health Hunter with a Scientist
Scientist and an Eaglehorn bow.
and an Eaglehorn bow. The Scientist got popped, bringing out, I'm trying to see what trap it is,
Explosives.
explosive.
alright, it is loading up right now, so hopefully it actually works this time.
And that is really close to lethal for the Hunter.
It is, because the Belcher got traded in with a Scientist, which means the Paladin is sitting with a Sylvanas and a 1-2 Slam on board, with the Hunter having a kill command, no beast though, and obviously hero power and the bow.
Yeah, top deck of the beast would, or a beast, not the beast necessarily. Top deck of a beast, that would be game right here on his next turn.
I think Eaglehorn bow for sure runs into the slime.
Oh, absolutely, I would say, because you have the trap down, so chances are it'll be
You'll have more
proc.
durabilities than you can use, basically.
Yeah, it's most likely going to proc this turn, so.
And the Paladin can't even attack because he doesn't want to give him another durability and 2 damage to himself. So he just has to wait another turn for lay on hands and pray that the kill command isn't there, which it is, and so is Arcane Golem.
Yeah, Arcane Golem will definitely be enough.
Yeah, this is more than enough damage.
A noticeable play that MVParker just made was skipping the hero power so that Unleash the Hounds would have been one-off lethal with no added kill commands.
Yeah, and that definitely is something to be aware of whenever you're matched up against a hunter. That, because sometimes giving them that one extra dog can be the difference between, if in fact you survive or they get the lethal that they need. Alright, so they're
So the
just.
Pally that was supposed to be great against face hunters failed. So he'll get to use it against other decks, which MVParker told me is really not that great against.
Yeah, definitely didn't do the job that was intended of it.
And he went for the rogue.
Whoa, Kobold Geomancer. Is this the budget version that does not have Thalnos in it, or does it actually add Geomancer?
He has Thalanos as well as Geomancer. I did see him play it earlier.
Interesting.
So he
I'm
really values the spell damage.
Actually, looking at the deck list, I do not see
There
Thalnos.
is no Thalnos.
Oh, maybe he did not use it.
He just doesn't own Thalnos, I assume. I
It's a
imagine
possibility.
he doesn't value Geomancer over Thalnos.
No, with the amount of card draw that this deck has, that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to ask him after the game.
Yeah, because I can't really see the valuing of having a 2/2 body over the card draw. It just It doesn't seem worth it to me, but
Either next level strategies or he doesn't have Thanos.
yeah, well,
My guess is gonna be he doesn't have Thanos.
Yeah, probably. Oh my gosh. Dr. Boom next turn.
I gotta love Innervate. Of course, Dr. Boom is gonna get sapped, but still.
Dr. Boom is one of the best cards to innervate out against the rogue because even if they do sap it, you have 2 boom bots on the board, and in a few turns you can replay it and get 2 boom bots again. Oh my gosh. MVParker, you are a genius. No Dr. Boom this turn.
Yes, I'm sure he saw that play coming.
yeah, and that
Oh.
actually kind of leaves Void with a little bit of an awkward turn here, I would say, because he really doesn't have any good plays to make now. I mean, he can play the MC tech and hero power, or big game
I think you
hunter.
probably want a big game hunter just because MC Tech is useful around the Violet Teacher turns.
Yeah, whereas Rogue really doesn't run any BGH targets aside from if something gets buffed up and
Usually.
actually sticks around.
Well, we see
Guys
that
just try to steal it with MC Tech.
this deck actually does run Dr. Boom.
Yeah, I was just going to say some of the versions do, but some of them don't include Dr. Boom. That would be the only target if there was one in the list.
Such a good card that it just is good in any deck. Yes, some decks might not use it, but I don't know. I would put it in a Face Hunter and it would still be okay.
Yeah, because see, the thing with Dr. Boom is it just does so much. That's, you know, it's good whether you're ahead or behind. And even if it just dies outright to Big Game Hunter, you know, Hex, something of that nature, you still get the 2 Boombots off of it, which can do up to 10 damage by themselves. So,
It's a board clear and a threat at the same time.
yeah, and it's pretty much guaranteed value as well from the bots. So
I really like this play a lot because
Absolutely.
the Druid had a really hard time clearing Lotheb, obviously, because Lotheb's still on the board. So this way, he is assuming that he's going to be able to do the damage again with Lotheb the next turn, which he's right about that. Oh no, he's not, because Big Game Hunter. Sick tech to kill Lotheb, but I still like the play because the Druid was having a hard time clearing it.
Oh, it was absolutely the correct play. And he pushed a lot of damage. Even
Mhm.
hitting once for 8 is still not bad.
It's dangerous how few cards he has now, though.
and it looks like Void's debating if he wants to double innervate out Dr. Boom or just play the Druid in taunt mode. The Druid, I think, is the safer play, the Druid of the Claw.
I like the boom.
Where shall I strike?
I think either way is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the Druid was definitely the safer play, though, because he doesn't know what is sitting in MVParker's hand.
This guy's toast.
I really like this play. He gets to keep the weapon. And he's gonna fish for that Blade Flurry.
I think this is for sure Dr. Boom.
Well, leaving Rogue with Minion on board is very dangerous. I know he already used 1 oil, but he obviously has another oil in the deck.
Being the Druid here, I would just gamble that with 2 cards, having already played 1 oil, that he doesn't have second oil in hand. And Dr. Boom is just such a stronger play. Oh man.
And the Cobalt Geomancer is going to come out and do some work right here, I think.
But Thanos would do the same thing, so...
No, what are you doing? Really?
Huh. That's interesting.
Okay, that was the worst possible bomb. I'd like to bring attention to that, but why? save the Geomancer.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what he's holding it back for.
You don't have any spells left in your hand now, and Kobold Geomancer could have been a board presence if you got lucky with the bombs.
Blade Flurry coming just a turn too late.
It kills Shade. But at this point, can you really go down to 0 cards in hand?
So many options.
I mean, he does have the health lead, but Druid's into its combo turns now where
Yeah.
you're
Health-
never really safe if they have any amount of minions on the board. So this is really looking bad for MVParker right now.
I'd like to see the Shade go to the face here, because the only answer the Rogue has is Area of Effect.
Well, he is holding it.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, with the 2 spell damage cards, he is able to clear 2 out of the 3 minions.
Whoa, that's risky. Because he won't be guaranteed to have the spell damage for the next turn, and the Shade's gonna grow. And it seems like this Violet Teacher is just gonna die.
Yeah, I definitely would have liked the Geomancer plus Blade Flurry better there, I think. Because, like you said, he would have cleared the Shade as well as the MC tech.
The safe play would be to Ancient of Lore for heal on yourself. At 11, you're pretty safe, but it's borderline not safe, considering how much damage a rogue can throw at you all of a sudden.
Well, it depends on how much of the board he's willing to clear right now.
Mm-hmm.
I must safeguard them.
The Violet Teacher has to go, obviously.
Yeah. I think you have to clear the Azure Drake as well. I think the spell damage is one of the only ways the rogue can come back in the game.
Time waits for no
But you're also very close to lethal, so pushing for damage wasn't terrible either.
Mm.
Now with such a board, I could see him drawing cards.
Just never play Zombie Chow because you're so close to lethal.
Oh yes, Zombie Chow is not coming out this game.
Well, there's only one option, really.
Attention, class.
I'm ready to learn.
So he's left with quite the board. And is that lethal? 5, 6, 7. Well, there you go.
Yeah, the Force of Nature is going to
It is now.
seal it here.
Well played.
Kobold Geomancer just couldn't do it.
well played.
That's going to go to Void's Druid now, so we have Void's Paladin left as his only deck. And on MVParker's side, he has Paladin or Rogue to choose from, correct?
That is correct.
I was gonna say,
Right.
I wanted to make sure I followed it right, you know? So
All
do
he
you,
has is geared towards aggro decks. Of course, he doesn't know what Void's Pally is, but I would think he should go with the Rogue here, and he does.
yeah, I would have definitely picked the Rogue in there, because, I mean, I really think Rogue is probably Paladin's worst matchup right now. Because they have so many, like, small AoE tools to deal with all the dudes.
Fan
Like-
of Knives.
Yeah, between the Fan of Knives, even a small Blade Flurry, like say like a Deadly Poison Blade Flurry could wreck a board that you built with the dudes and a Quartermaster even,
Mm-hmm.
which really just makes you very vulnerable to Rogue.
So MVParker has a pretty good hand for the matchup then.
Oh, yeah, and with the two SIs, that they're good as well because they trade favorably with all the small minions pretty much that Paladin runs. Like it trades well with the mini bots. Being a 3/2 into a 2/2, you can pop the shield with their battle cry if you choose. It kills zombie chow, which Paladin also tends to run.
The rogue would be much better if he was with the coin.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just probably SI7 with no combo. No, he decides to just dagger up and wait. Probably looking for his opponent to muster for battle so he can clear the whole board with Fan of Knives. So the counter to that play would be playing the Acolyte instead of the muster for battle. If you have that much foresight.
Yeah, I definitely like the Acolyte better here. I mean, even outside of seeing MVParker's hand, obviously. Just because, like you said, I mean, with a rogue holding 6 cards in hand, there's a pretty good chance he's going to have some type of AoE.
Well, but if you bait out a Blade Flurry with a muster for battle, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, so this is kind of a gamble that Fan of Knives doesn't exist right now.
Move quickly.
If he were to go for muster for battle, Acolyte is safe, but it's not guaranteed to get value because your opponent could throw out a deadly poison and combo SI7 agent and get a total awesome board clear. He does go for Acolyte, which looks like the best play in this situation. It's actually going to be tough to clear the Acolyte.
Yeah, outside of eviscerating it, he could eviscerate it and then SI.
Yeah,
I would be surprised to see Prep just hovering over it. Wow.
you're using so many resources, and seeing that there's an Acolyte here, and the way the Paladin's been playing, you can kind of assume that it's going to be a slower type of Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, you want to burn him down. Using your prime damage spell on a 1/3 is not great against a control deck.
That Acolyte just drew a card and took 2 of the opponent's cards to clear it. That is value.
Absolutely.
That is a 2 for 0.
Now, do you like the Drake or Lotheb better here?
Lotheb, because True Silver.
Yeah, I was going to say the Drake just dies when you put it down. I mean, the only real upside of playing Drake is if he's fishing for a specific card. But I don't really
She could be. Lotheb makes more sense, though.
Yeah,
13 cost lay on hands.
yeah, I would agree with the Lotheb, like you said, because if he were to run the True Silver into it, he would still have to do something else to deal with it, as opposed to the Drake just being clear. So it's essentially you consumed your whole turn for half of a 4-mana weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Playing the Drake here, kind of awkward. What are you fishing for? Probably just playing the Drake just to play the Drake.
Yeah, probably just spending your mana, because mana is pretty important. It draws a card, so you're not too worried about losing value off of it.
Well, the same problem remains though. It just dies to the True Silver.
Yeah, that is the biggest problem with it right now.
Sylvanas, I don't think I would play Sylvanas right now, because you have to clear that Drake with your weapon, and leaving Sylvanas against a 5/2 is really pointless.
I think I like going for Hero Power and Defender Vargas. Seems kind of odd, but it puts 2 minions at above Fan of Knives health, and all the minions trade with Lotheb.
My shield for Argus.
This also makes sense. It does kind of the same thing, but more aggressively.
Yeah, it's a fairly similar play.
It dies worse to Fan of Knives, though.
Fan of Knives is a must here. With Quarter
Yeah.
Masters in pretty much every Paladin deck, you have to get rid of the dudes as soon as you can. With SI, it guarantees you a full board clear, and you leave a minion on your side.
He may put down a True Silver champion over his Light's Justice.
Which a lot of players do. I mean, the Light Justice really, 4 damage over 4 turns,
Yeah,
not
it's
that big of a loss.
it's pretty much just like a filler weapon. I mean, for lack of a
Yeah.
better way to put it.
It's more of a plus than it is an actual card.
Yeah, it's an upside to what you're getting out of Muster for Battle. You like, it's a ping that you have to take face damage with. So you know, losing it for a 4-mana weapon, or 4 attack rather, as long as you have some sort of reasonable target for the True Silver, it isn't necessarily a bad play. Like, I've even played Muster over Muster before with the weapon still out, you know, just because I need more tokens on the board. And
Oh, that's Sylvanas.
So he's kind of afraid of losing the value off White's Justice, or he just doesn't think that True Silver is going to do enough.
There's got to be a backstabbing trade, and that's just terrible for Sylvanas.
Yeah. If you want to go for super tempo, you could Violet Teacher and Sap. But I think Sap is being saved for Tyrion.
Pay attention, class.
If he had 2 in hand, then I'd say go for it. But, well, he went for it anyways, but I don't really agree with it.
Well, he did it. It's more weak to board clear, and now if your opponent throws down Sylvanas again, you're gonna give them value by clearing it. You don't have the second sap to deal with it again.
And you can't spend the second sap on a Sylvanas knowing that Tyrion's in that deck.
Yeah. So the board clear comes through. So that ended up being the worst play, and I think he might have misplayed.
Yeah, I did not like that play. Like I said, if there was a second sap in hand, then maybe I could justify it.
It's hard to call that a clear misplay because it's not like he didn't do the order right. He chose a completely different path in the game, so he could have something different in mind than we do.
yeah, but Parker is really in a tough place right now. He needs to draw into like an oil or something. Like, really, he needs an oil and a sap, which he does.
Yeah, he needs a sprint into a sap that has an oil in the hand
Yeah, because
with a prep.
from
Sprint into prep oil sap.
yeah, because he has the blade flurry, the deckhand, but no buff to go along with it, and really no way to answer this Tyrion effectively.
Well, there's the prep.
He needed the sprint first, though.
Yeah.
Just hit off the Divine Shield and dagger up again and end your turn. Looks like he wants to clear it, which I actually hugely disagree with. Because you're using burn to give your opponent a weapon that they can start using earlier to kill you, versus leaving a Tyrion on board and finding some other way to deal with it eventually, and not letting it use the weapon.
And you just gave your opponent lethal over 3 turns.
Yeah. So
Because this rogue is not running any taunts and is not running any heals. So you put yourself on a timer.
I mean, I will play devil's advocate for a minute here on this one, though. That by leaving Tyrion on the board, essentially you're still doing the same thing, because he's going to be hitting you in the face for 6 damage every turn you leave him there.
Yeah, my point was that your only out to Tyrion to actually end up winning the game was drawing a sap.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that much of it. That
I think I would sacrifice the minion to keep the 6 health on my face.
I wouldn't, because South Sea Deckhand is going to be highly necessary for winning fast enough.
yeah,
Oh
that,
no, I was thinking about the 3/3. Just sacrifice the 3/3.
Oh,
Spiteful Smith. Now that's a card you don't see every day.
yeah,
Which
it's
I mean,
very interesting.
you have seen Greenskin from time to time in different Paladin builds, and I guess he's going for the same idea there with the Smith. So that is going to be the series for Void, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
We took the series 3-1.
All of his decks were eliminated, which is a good thing.
All right. So
Yes, in this particular format, that is a good thing.
yes. Yep. As we're slowly but surely figuring out. So congratulations to Void on taking 3rd place. And we're going to be having the finals coming up in just a moment. We're going to take another quick 5-minute break, and then we'll be right back with you guys. And we will have Nightmare and... oh, it's slipping my mind now. Okay, can you help me out here, Askier? It's Nightmare and... who is our other finalist?
Is it Lucas?
Yes, Lucas. Lucas and Nightmare. We will be coming up with that in just about 5 minutes while we get them set up. We will be right back, guys.